market watcher Anthony Saccaro.
Anthony Saccaro here to help us is Anthony Saccaro, president of Providence Financial and Insurance Services.
Anthony, thank you so much for being with us.
Providence Financial's Anthony Saccaro is with us.
Anthony, what are you telling your clients who are in that position?
We're in the middle of a very long-term secular cycle. And if you're depending on that money, you're depending on the interest, you're depending on that, you're over 50 years old, you're going to need that in retirement, the rates will not move. They're going to stay down for a long time. I think Japan's a good example of that. 90% of my clients have no stock at all. If you can live off of your portfolio on a 3 or 4 or 5% interest rate and not lose money the next time the market crashes, then that's what you should do.
See your articles in the USA Today, Forbes, Wall Street Journal. I mean, you're everywhere, man.
Well, hello, and welcome to our 9th annual Client Appreciation Event and our 2nd annual virtual event. And I got to tell you, I miss you guys. Doing it and doing it virtually is not the same as doing it in person. We've had a lot of fun events in person, and we're going to do everything we can to make the next hour and 15 minutes or so as fun as possible and give you as much information as possible. But the only reason that we do these appreciation events is to thank you for being our valued clients. That's the only reason we do this. So thank you for being our clients. Thank you for putting your trust in us. And I want to spend just a minute and give you some opening comments about why we didn't do it in person. The number one reason is we had a hard time finding a venue that we felt confident enough to be able to host 300 or 400 people like we've had in the past. We put out, I don't know, Denise must have put out dozens of phone calls, and we didn't get a lot of people to call us back. And the few places that called us back didn't lead us down the path of feeling really good about things. And we just didn't want to provide an experience for you that wasn't up to par for the type of experience that we normally provide. So we decided to do it again virtually, and I hope this is our last virtual event. This is our 9th. I want our 10th to be in person, COVID providing, so we'll have to see. And additionally, a lot of you have told us that you would be uncomfortable coming to a live event, even if we were able to have one, because we do deal with people that are in the second half, and we do deal with individuals that a lot of you are high risk considered according to the COVID and CDC standards. And we didn't want to put any of you in a position where you wanted to come, but you couldn't come or you felt uncomfortable coming. So hopefully this is our last year doing this virtually. But we've got a phenomenal outline for you tonight. I want to take a few minutes and show you a video in which our team members have just done a phenomenal job. They're going to thank you, and you're going to get a chance to see them. We have a special guest speaker. Mr. Ron Grensteiner is on with us tonight. He is the president of American Equity. I will introduce him in just a few minutes. And then I want to give you some updates regarding some company-wide changes that we have made, changes that we've made to your portfolios for those of you that we are actively managing your portfolios. And then most excitingly is we are going to do a live raffle. Not like last year where you guys filled out a survey and we let you know a few days later, but this is going to be a live raffle. And we're going to give away 5 iPad minis and 1 grand prize. And that grand prize is going to be 2 nights to Harborview Inn in Santa Barbara. So you have to be on when your name is called in order to win. So don't go anywhere. So that's what's in store for you tonight. But for now, I want you to take a listen to this short video from our team members. So Denise, go ahead and roll the video.
Hello, welcome Welcome everyone. My name is Crystal Suter and I've been with Providence Financial for 10 years now. As many of you know, I am the new accounts manager, so my job is to help open any new accounts and assist with any transfers or rollovers that may be necessary, and also answer any questions along the way. I've always been extremely appreciative of all of your time, and I want to thank you for being clients and thank you for sharing your life with me. As many of you may not know, a fun fact about me is I have recently moved to North Carolina, but fortunately I am still here to assist with any questions and opening new accounts along the way.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our client appreciation event. My name is Anka Sakaro, and as some of you may know, I am Anthony's wife, which means I've been with Providence Financial almost since its beginnings. We've been married since 2000, so that's when I started by being Anthony's assistant. And as new team members came along over the years, I am now the social media coordinator, which means that I do social media for Providence Financial, as well as keep the website updated whenever Anthony does an interview, whether over the radio or on TV. I make sure that makes its way over to the website, as well as over email to you guys. So if you've ever received an email from Providence Financial and it's a video update or a newsletter, then chances are I'm the one who sent it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jackie Thomas. I'm the Client Services Manager here at Providence Financial. I've been with the company for just over a year, and my job is to answer any questions or address any concerns you may have about your accounts. I've really enjoyed meeting many of you over the phone and also in person. When I'm not here at the office, one of my favorite pastimes is knitting. I look forward to meeting many more of you. Enjoy your evening.
Hello and welcome. My name is Cherie Torres and I'm the Senior Paralegal at Anthony Sakaro Law. If you're joining us for this event, that means you already know and trust that Anthony's always looking for ways to look out for you and help you manage your assets. And he believes that a really important part of that process is making sure that solid estate planning services are available to our clients. We are here to assist you with everything from the application process to any questions that may come up during that time, to working on your documents, and all the way through to your signing appointment where you execute your documents. When I'm not at work, I am spending time with my husband and my 9-year-old daughter. We both play the violin, my daughter and I, and we just do lots of crafty stuff, sewing lessons, quilting, cross-stitching, always working on a project.
Hello and welcome. My name is Cindy Rauda and I am the Client Service Coordinator at Anthony Sakaro Law. I've been with the firm for a little over 6 months, and as Client Service Coordinator, my main job is to assist you, the client. I am the first point of contact when you call our office, and I am the one that will be walking you through our application process and answering any questions you might have regarding estate planning. I am also the person that will schedule your appointments with our attorney, Mr. Anthony Sakaro, and our senior paralegal, Ms. Cherie Torres. Something that I really enjoy about my job here at ASL is that I get to assist our clients with any questions they have, and I really get to know them on a more personal level. On my spare time, I enjoy photography, crochet and knitting, and recently I started learning how to quilt. Thank you so much for coming, and welcome to our Client Appreciation event.
Hi everybody, my name is Jerry Alcala. I am the Client Relationship Manager here at Providence Financial. Thank you for joining us here for yet another virtual Client Appreciation event. And I just noticed my background, I have absolutely no wall art, so we're going to change that pretty soon here. But anyway, thank you again for joining us here at this event. My job is to educate anybody who wants to learn more about our services, about what we do, about Anthony's experience, is to educate them, give them all the information they need to make an educated decision, especially when it comes time to meeting with Anthony. Anybody out there who wants to maybe refer somebody to us, they would basically come to me first. Thank you so much, because throughout the years, you guys are clientele. We're super blessed that you guys have given us a lot of referrals throughout the years, so thank you so much for that. And one thing that they asked me to say is something personal about me, maybe my hobbies. But I think if I were to choose one, it's just, for me, family is super important. I love spending time with my family, traveling whenever we can. So that to me is super, super important. Another thing that people around here don't know about me is I love to play a keyboard, my synthesizer. I'm starting to learn music just on my own. I already have about 25 songs under my belt in about 3 or 4 months, and so I'll continue that. I love that hobby. My wife not so much because I tend to bother her when I blast the music. But anyway, anybody who wants to reach out to me if you have any questions with regard to us, if you have any referrals that you want to send over our way, send them to me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa Perot. I'm the newest team member at Anthony Soccaro Law. I'm the executive assistant and most likely will be the first friendly face you see when you visit us in our newly established office in Granada Hills. I'm primarily responsible for coordinating your visits as well as day-to-day tasks involved in running the law firm. When I'm not in the office, I like spending my free time with my 9 grandchildren. I very much look forward to meeting each and every one of you very soon.
Hello, my name is Denise Frias, and I am the marketing coordinator / executive assistant. I have been with the company for 8 years, and my duties include supporting Anthony with his day-to-day priorities and making sure the team has everything they need to execute their responsibilities. I also plan and coordinate all company events throughout the year and ensure we deliver great customer service to all our clients. A fun fact about me is that I enjoy all outdoor activities and spending time with my husband and my 2 daughters, Olivia and Lucia. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lorraine Grossman, and I have had the privilege of working with Providence Financial for about 7 years. And I, at one point, was their director of their estate planning division, as well as a full-time associate advisor. Since then, I have moved up to a new role as their fiduciary investment advisor. Wanted to take this moment to thank you for joining us this evening, and we do not take your trust lightly. We appreciate you and look forward to continuing to give you great peace of mind. Thank you and enjoy your evening. Take care.
Well, hello. I'm Anthony Soccaro, founder and president of Providence Financial and Insurance Services, and I want to take a minute and thank our team members for their excellence and dedication in providing the client service that you've become used to. And of course, if we didn't have any clients, then we would have no one to provide service to. So most importantly, I want to thank you for being a valued client of our firm. Thank you for the trust and thank you for the responsibility you've placed in us. If there's anything that me or my staff can do for you, please let me know personally. God bless. Wow. I'm not even sure what to say. This is the second time I've seen that video, and I teared up a little bit when I saw it the first time, and almost tear up a little bit again because our team members are everything to us. We're friends, we're family. Our retention rate with our clients is extremely high. You know, as our clients, our customer service is second to none. I would take this team and put them up against any other financial advisory firm in the country. And I love them to death. They're family. And I'm glad you got a chance to meet them through this video. And I have the privilege of working with them every single day. So I'm glad they got to say hello to you. Now, Denise, I want to throw a special thank you to Denise because Denise is single-handedly responsible for this entire webinar. Now, you just showed up. You had to press a link and all of a sudden turn it on. But all the maneuvering back and forth with our guest speaker and with me and Denise and the videos, that didn't happen accidentally. Putting that video together was a lot of work. Denise just spent hours and hours and hours making this happen, testing it after hours to make sure it works on different computers, on the phone. Some of you are watching this on the phone. And Denise, I know you're on, I know you're helping coordinate this whole thing. Just a special thank you to you for making this all happen. Well, we've come to a point where I have the extreme privilege of introducing our guest speaker, Mr. Ron Grensteiner. I've known Mr. Grensteiner for nearly 15 years. Actually, we were talking a little bit before this program, and it turns out that I've actually known him for closer to 18 years. And he and I have become great friends. Mr. Grensteiner has his BS from North Dakota State University, and he began his career in the insurance industry over 35 years ago. He started as an agent in 1985 and eventually worked his way up to becoming a regional vice president. Well, in 2009, Ron accepted a position as president of American Equity Investment Life Insurance Company. That's a huge company that manages around $60 billion of assets and annuities. From the time that Ron took the helm in 2009 until now, the stock price has increased tenfold. And I've partnered with American Equity for over 20 years, and I offer their annuities because they have a phenomenal investment portfolio and their customer service is second to none as well. I don't believe that there are too many people on the face of this planet who understand annuities better than Mr. Grensteiner. And because a lot of you have annuities in your portfolio, I invited him to speak with you tonight about the state of the annuity industry, and you're in for a real treat. So with that, I want to welcome, and please welcome virtually, my great friend, Mr. Ron Grensteiner.
Well, thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I too, from your opening comments, I look forward to the opportunity when we can get back to doing these types of events in person again. Well, this is, we'll certainly have to do the trick in the meantime. There's nothing like being in person, but I do appreciate the opportunity to join all of you this evening. As you probably already know, Anthony and his team do an absolutely outstanding job in their practice. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a client of his. But I want to make sure that I get my accolades in there for Anthony and the team too. They do a great job and they're true professionals. And as Anthony said, he's been doing business with American Equity going all the way back to 2002. And yes, it's been, a great relationship and a great friendship along the way. I said to Anthony, gosh, it's a long time. I guess that means we're 17 years old or 18 years old or 2 since we first met. So yes, that's true. Our annuity advisors at American Equity, they are not captive. They can sell for any company that they choose, that they find that they can form that relationship with, that they can find the products to fit the solutions for their clients. We have at our company 26,000 annuity advisors across the nation. We are in every state, and those 26,000 agents are scattered across the whole nation. Out of 26,000, Anthony is in our top 15 out of 26,000 annuity advisors across the nation. So that should give you some assurance that Anthony and his team are true professionals and that we have a great relationship and we trust each other. And we're very honored to be the company of choice in a lot of situations for Anthony and his team. So you are in good hands. You can take that to the bank. Also, I know that many of you are policyholders of American Equity, and I want to say thank you to all of you. I want you to know that we do get it. We get that this money is important to you. You worked your entire lives to build and preserve your nest egg, and all you really want is some guarantees and some assurances that that money is going to be there and available for you when you're ready to use it. So that's a job we take very seriously, and it's something that we're very good at. So thank you to all of you for that opportunity to watch over your money along with Anthony. So, it's a crazy world out there, isn't it? If you don't believe me, and I know you do, all you have to do is look at the newscast each night. It's one of those times in our world where there's a fair amount of craziness, just to put it lightly, from politics to pandemics to wars to terrorism to wildfires to floods. You name it, a lot of stuff is going on, and in a lot of cases, all those types of things can affect your money, whether you have money in interest-bearing accounts or whether you have money in the stock market. Those types of events across our world can affect your money. Your money, those of you that have money in fixed annuities, know that your money is safe and protected. We call our fixed annuities, or any fixed annuities, we call them sleep insurance. And we call them that because every night when you go to bed, you can sleep very well knowing that in the morning when you wake up, all of your money is still going to be there and then some. And so know that regardless of what's going on in the world, your money is going to be safe. Now, there's some things that the insurance companies need to do to make sure that that's going to be the case. And the number one thing we can do as an insurance company to protect your money, to make sure that it's there, is our investments. Where do we invest your money? And that's really one of the primary things that we do. We need to make sure that we buy investments that are safe, but yet you can get a competitive yield. But we don't want to get too risky because we don't want to lose that money before you're ready to use it. Insurance companies are very resilient. There are insurance companies, you don't hear about insurance companies going bankrupt. As a matter of fact, there was some research done a few years ago by Dr. Jack Marion, who's kind of a watchdog of fixed annuity insurance companies. And he was not able to document a single case where a policyholder of a fixed annuity lost money. And now that doesn't mean that there weren't insurance companies that ran into some difficulties, but what typically happened is another insurance company would come in and buy them and all the policyholders would be completely restored. So the money in insurance companies is very safe and very resilient. I want to show with a slide presentation here that kind of drives home the point, and let's see if I can get it done. And I'm going to push this button here. I know that Denise and Anthony would be very proud of me if I can do this. Look at that. I think I did it. The National Association of Insurance Commissioners, that's what the NAIC stands for, ranks or rates insurance company investments. And most insurance companies have as the core of their investments bond portfolios. It's not all bond portfolios, but the majority of the bond, that's what the majority of the money is in the bond portfolio. So if you look at this particular slide here, this is our bond portfolio at the end of last year. We update this once a year, so we'll update it again in another 6 weeks or so, but it has not changed a lot. And the NAIC ranks them from a category 1 to category 6. Category 1 is the safest, best investment that you can get. It's very good, very quality. Category 2 is also very safe, very quality, but not quite as good as category 1. Category 3 is now in a situation where they consider them to be non-investment grade, meaning that there is a certain amount of risk that goes with it. It doesn't mean that it's terrible. It just means when you buy NAIC 3, you need to do your due diligence as a bond issuer and a bond holder to make sure that what you're investing your money in has a history and it's going to be there for the long term. So NAIC 3 is a little bit riskier, but it's not terrible. And then NAIC 4 is a little bit worse than NAIC 3. NAIC 5 is even riskier and worse than NAIC 6 is what I call the forget about it category. Personally, I don't think any insurance company should be buying investments in NAIC 4 through 6, that you need to try and keep it in NAIC 1 through 3. So as you look at this pie chart here, you can see that 55.2% of our investments are in the highest quality category. 42.2% is in the second highest category. And then we do have a little bit in NAIC 3, 2.4. And the only reason we don't have any in NAIC, well, actually, if you take NAIC 4, 5, and 6 and add them up together, it's 0.1%. And the only reason that we have 0.1% is because it probably was an NAIC 1, 2, or 3 to begin with, and it got re-rated because of some potential financial troubles. So the most important thing we can do is where do we invest your money, and we take very good care of your money, with the vast majority of it being in NAIC categories 1 and 2. The second thing I'd like to address with you is once you become a policyholder, we think it's very important that we also not only need to protect your money, but we need to give you excellent customer service. It's one of our cornerstones, just like it's one of Anthony's cornerstones. The equivalent to us of excellent customer service is the golden rule. It's really not that hard, is it? We want to treat our customers the same way as we would want to be treated if we were the customer. It's having a good attitude. It's having a positive attitude. It's having an attitude of we want to help. I'm very proud of our team and that we have an excellent customer service reputation. And there's three categories, there's three areas that I want to touch on real briefly that we really excel in when it comes to excellent customer service. And the first is when we issued your contract. You know, Anthony sat down with you, talked about what your needs and desires are and what you wanted to do with your money. And he chose in some situation, an American equity policy or an American equity contract. You filled out the paperwork. We got the paperwork, made sure the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. And if there was a check that came in with the paperwork, our goal is to get that contract back out to Anthony in about 24 hours. And we feel that way because you just made a significant financial decision. We want to get the contract back to Anthony so we can sit down with you and go over it with you and make sure that it indeed is what you thought it was, and make sure that this is solving those needs that you had as part of your retirement plan. So that is very important to us. Quick issue to make sure that you have what you want. And of course, another important one is just excellent service for customer service requests. If you need to make a withdrawal, for example, because it is your money, we want to make sure we act on that quickly. You can actually call us and we can take your request over the phone as long as we can confirm you are who you say you are. If we talk to you today, we can have a check going out to you tomorrow because it's your money and you don't want to wait around for it, and we want to get it to you as soon as you can. And one that I'm very, actually a little bit crazy about is answering the phones. You'll find at American Equity, if you call us, that you'll be talking to a live person in about 60 seconds. That's almost unheard of in today's day and age. And I'm sure you get as frustrated as I do with other companies, whether they be banks or credit card companies or the cable companies or whoever it is. It's almost impossible to talk to a live human being. Now, we do have our automated attendant, but as soon as you hit our automated attendant and hit a couple buttons, you should be talking to a live person in about 60 seconds. This is very important to me. I use my father as my example. My father is now deceased, but he was a policyholder of American Equity for several years. And towards the end, he passed away when he was just a couple weeks shy of 91. He was at the point where he didn't have any electronics anymore other than a telephone and a television. He didn't even have a cell phone. And I think about what is it like for him if he had to talk to his insurance company, his health insurance company, or his bank, or whatever the case may be, his prescription drugs. And he got into one of those voicemail loops where it was impossible to talk to a person. So I use my dad as the standard on how we want to be able to answer the phones if it's one of our policyholders. This next is just a comic that I find that seems to be very fitting these days. Sometimes you get into some of those infinite voicemail loops where you just can't get out. And here's a guy that says, if you'd like to hear all of your options again, press 49. If you've forgotten why you called in the first place, press 50. I think we all feel that way sometimes, don't we? So with that, I just want to say thank you one more time to everybody in Anthony's office. And I certainly want to say thank you to all of our American Equity policyholders for entrusting us with your money. And of course, I do want to wish all of you a very happy holiday season, and please be safe and be well. And I look for an opportunity when we can meet again in person. So Anthony, I'll turn it back to you.
Ron, thank you so much for spending the last 15 minutes with us. I know it's 2 hours ahead of time there in Des Moines. So you got, I'm sure you have better things to do, but I really appreciate that. Enjoy your wife and your kids. And thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thanks, Anthony. Have a great one.
Thank you, Ron. God bless. Okay, well, that's Mr. Ron Grensteiner. I'm glad that he had a chance to spend a few minutes with you because a lot of you have annuities with American Equity. As Ron mentioned, I have the ability to represent any company that we want. I'm completely independent. We can represent whoever we want. The reason that we use annuities is because we deal with people that want to keep their money protected, want to keep their money safe. And there's a lot of good annuity companies out there. So not every one of you has an annuity at some point, but I wanted you let me back up. Not every one of you has an American Equity annuity, and not every one of you has an annuity because we do everything custom. But I did want you to hear from the president of the company basically reaffirm the fact that this is your safe money. Okay, so I'm glad you got to hear from him. I want to switch gears and I want to share my own screen and bring you to a PowerPoint that I've put together. And I want to just spend a few minutes and go through some updates. I want to talk about some changes we've made to your portfolios, and then of course we're going to do the raffle. And I feel like we're a little ahead of schedule here, so maybe we'll be able to get you guys out by 7 o'clock and enjoy your the rest of your Friday evening. So a couple of updates about us. Well, 3 years ago, I told you at a client appreciation event that I've got a book that's going to be coming out. And then 2 years ago, I told you I had a book that's going to be coming out. And then last year, I told you I had a book that's going to be coming out and no book. And a lot of you guys have asked me what's going on with the book. Well, there's a very long story, as there usually is, but the original publisher that I hired didn't do what they were supposed to. You ever work with someone that doesn't do what they're supposed to do? Well, that's kind of what happened. So I had to hire a new publishing company. That happened about 2 months ago, and we are in full force. The publishing company that took us on is Forbes Publishing. So a lot of you know the name Stephen Forbes, so very, very good name. And I've been told, and I believe wholeheartedly, that we will have a book in the next 3 months or so. I think, in the first quarter of 2022 is probably when that's going to happen. It shows on the screen that the book is titled More Life Than Money. I don't know if that's going to stay the title. We are making some changes as well. New publisher, new changes, new thought process. But I am going to ask each of you to buy the book. Why? Because of 2 reasons. One, the book is going to talk about, I think there's, at the end of the day, 12 or 13 things that you need to know about retirement, things that I've talked to most of you about individually. There's going to be chapters in there about investing for the right stage of life, required minimum distributions. There's a full chapter in there about annuities, the good, the bad, and the ugly. A chapter in there about Medicare and Social Security and long-term care and things that can eat away at your principal. And it's very likely that as you read the book, you're going to come up with some questions or things that maybe we haven't spoken about or haven't spoken about for a long time. And this book is designed to be kind of a manual to make sure you don't miss anything in retirement. So I'm going to want you to read the book. At least skim through the chapters, read the parts that are relevant to you. And then if there's anything that we need to talk about, then certainly that's going to remind you and give you an education ahead of time. So that's number one. But the number 2 reason is because I want to do everything we can to get this book into the Amazon bestseller list and maybe even number 1 Amazon bestseller. So we have to sell it. And if you guys buy a copy for you, then it's also going to help us as well. And I don't like to do things second class. You know that. I like to do things first class. That's one of the reasons I don't like this doing things on Zoom. This is not first class to me. First class is some of the things we've done before. So More Life Than Money, it'll be available soon. We will put out YouTube videos out about it. If you're on our newsletter list, as you should be, then you'll be notified plenty of time about that book and when it comes out. So quick update there. Radio show. Most of you know that for 6 years now, I've hosted a radio show on AM 870, KRL Lays the Answer. And yet recently we just changed the time slot from 4:30 to 9:30 in the morning on Saturdays. That's a better time slot. The company that was in that time slot before wound up canceling the time slot or whatever, but they had it for years. So I was the first person they called and we jumped on that time slot. So it's a little better slot than 4:30. Now, if you're not available at 9:30 in the morning on Saturdays to listen to the radio show, well, the good news is that we've developed a podcast. And the podcast airs twice a week at 6 o'clock on Monday morning and 6 o'clock on Thursday morning. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Great, I got to get up at 6 o'clock to listen to the podcast. No, because the way podcasts work, for those of you that are not familiar with them, and I've got to say I've only been familiar with them for a couple of years, is you can follow a podcast, and if you download a podcast player on your phone, like Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast player you want, you can listen to any podcast at any point in time. So when my podcast becomes available at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's then forever available beyond that. And as a matter of fact, if you were to go to our podcast page now, either on your phone or you just go directly to providencefinancialpodcast.com, there's, I think, 120 shows there that are all retirement related, that if you were to go and just look at the titles and read some of the descriptions, you'll probably want to listen to some of them. So you don't have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. on Monday and Thursdays to listen to them. Now, the Monday podcast is a replay of Saturday's show. It's edited for podcast format, which basically means there's no commercials. So that's a replay of Saturday's show. So if you're not available at 9:30 in the morning on Saturday, you can listen to the podcast on Monday. And then the Thursday podcast is only for podcast subscribers. So if you want to listen to the Thursday podcast, you will not get this information anywhere else. You got to listen to the podcast. And the nice thing is you can listen to one, and if it's not applicable to you, you can turn it off. You're not stuck listening to it. And now there are several ways to access our podcast. You can, as we talked about, download a player. And if you don't know what to do or how that is, ask your kids or your grandkids. They'll help you with that. It's something even fairly new for me. Or you can go right to providencefinancialpodcast.com, go onto that site, and you can listen to our podcast as well. And you might notice that little square over there. That little square is called the QR code. A lot of people don't even know what that is, but it's really, really cool. What that does is if you take your photo, if you take your phone, you have a smartphone and you open the photo app and you just hover over that little square, what's going to wind up happening is our podcast comes right up. So you don't have to type in Providence Financial Podcast. It just automatically comes up. So whenever you see a QR code somewhere, anywhere, all you have to do is hold your camera over it. And when you hold your camera over it, you're going to see something that pops up that allows you to click it. And then you can just open the webpage right there. So I certainly encourage you to follow us on the podcast. Everything I do is client-based. Everything I do is for you guys to get as much information out there as possible. And the podcast is certainly one of the ways that we do it. So when you find us, all you have to do on your favorite podcast player is search for the Providence Financial Retirement Show. And just click subscribe or click follow, whatever it is on your player. And then every time I do a new show, it pops up. And then you have the ability to listen to it if it's something that you want to listen to. Media interviews. Some of you know, and you saw by the reel that introduced that, years ago, I've been on TV, and I've been on TV quite a bit. And I took a couple of years off. It's just stressful to do. We had a lot of things going on. And I didn't do it for a couple of years, but I'm back in the media. So I think just recently I've done 3 or 4 live TV interviews. I think I did a live radio interview the other day, and we're going to continue to do that as well too. So it's just fun. Doesn't affect you guys at all. And all of that will make its way to the homepage of our website. But we do get a lot of people that come in and say it's kind of nice to see their financial guy on TV. So just FYI. Now, Anthony Soccaro Law. What's Anthony Soccaro Law? This is a big change, one of the biggest changes that we've made in my history. Now, most of you know that for 20 plus years, we've been helping you do your estate plans, your trusts, your wills, your powers of attorneys, your advanced directives. And until a couple of years ago, we were using outside attorneys to do that. We used several attorneys and was very successful. As a matter of fact, it was so successful that most of you know that I took it on myself about 10 years ago to become an attorney. So I became an attorney just so I can have more control and give you better service than we could get by subcontracting it out. And it's hard to believe that I'm coming up on 2 years of being an attorney, but that's exactly where we are at this point in time. And it's all been under the umbrella of Providence Financial. It's all been in the Woodland Hills office. And if you came into Woodland Hills, we were doing your financial advice and we were doing the legal advice at the same time. Well, I had the opportunity several months ago to acquire a law firm, and I did so. So our law firm now is in Granada Hills, and that law firm is Anthony Soccaro Law. So instead of being under the Providence Financial umbrella, there is an Anthony Soccaro Law and Providence Financial. So all the financial that we're doing is in the Woodland Hills office that you've been familiar with for the last decade or so, and all the legal work that we're going to do is going to be in our Granada Hills office on the corner of Devonshire and Pettit in the Citibank building, for those of you that are familiar with that area. So 2 different entities. We do it just to serve you better. You saw a couple of the staff members from the Granada Hills office in the reel, the team member reel that you watched earlier. So you had a chance to see a couple of them, and they work for Anthony Soccaro Law. So very, very exciting, but wanted to share that with you as well, just because we have a lot of you that ask. Let's talk a little bit about some of the changes we're making or we've made to portfolio allocations. Interest rates have come down. And when interest rates come down, fixed income investments come down. So the same amount of interest that we were able to talk about 2 and 3 and 4 years ago, it's going to be a little less now. So we've had to do some things to combat that and bring you back up into levels that are respectable. And so there's a few things that we have done in order to be able to accommodate that and to try to keep you in a reasonable range. Now, some of these things require your permission, and we will not make these changes without conversation with you. But some of these, we'll make these changes without you because that's why you hired us. So we, will manage your portfolio. So the first thing that we will do with your permission is to add REITs and dividend equities. Equities is just stock. So adding REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. It's a stock with a company that invests in real estate, and dividend equities. This is something that Sound Income Strategies has offered. This is something that I've done YouTube videos about multiple times over the last year and a half. And in the YouTube videos, when I've talked about dividend stocks and REITs in much more detail than we're going to cover here, I've invited you, if you want to add these to your portfolio, call me. Let's have a quick conversation. Let's see if it's something we want to add. And many of you have done that. And we've reallocated a lot of your portfolios to have dividend equities in your portfolios and REITs. Now, I will say, and we get a question a lot from you that have made that change, is with the market so high at this point, should we even be thinking about stocks at all? Well, the reality is, with the way you are set up, and we work with each of you individually, we don't have a blanket recommendation or blanket statement. There's not one box that we're trying to put you in. Every one of you is unique. And the way we have you set up is with the knowledge that we know there's going to be some problems in the market ahead. The market's not going to go up forever. There's going to be some problems. We don't know when, we don't know how deep, but it's almost like earthquakes in California. We're going to have another one. We just don't know where and how bad it's going to hit. So some people will call me and say, hey, should I get out? Should I make changes? No, we already have you where you are based on conversations that we've had before. But you're welcome to call me and we can revisit that if that's something you want to do. But we won't add stock to your portfolio or real estate investment trust without your permission. Using less individual bonds and more ETFs. Individual bonds, the rates have come down a lot, whereas individual bonds pre-COVID used to be in the 4 to 5% interest range. Now they're 3 to 4%. So they're not as high as we want. Our goal is to get you between 4 and 5% net of fees. That's been our target. That's always been our target, and not always, because pre-COVID it was higher than that. It's come down, so we've had to lower a little bit. But the reality is that most individual bonds right now in our category, in the investment grade or close to investment grade category, are paying 3 to 4%. Most of the ETFs are paying 5% plus. So we've made some shifts for you without your permission to try and get you in the higher yield. And there's not a lot of additional risk. So if you've looked at your portfolio and you wondered, well, where have your bonds gone? Well, that's why. And some of this change has been intentional, where we have actually gone in and sold some of the bonds that we thought made sense to sell and reposition your assets into ETFs, exchange traded funds. Some of it's been not intentional, because bonds can be called. And if a company calls a bond, then we have to go reinvest it. And then we've reinvested it into ETFs instead of more bonds. So but that's another change that we've made. E-money. Some of you have heard about e-money. Some of you probably haven't. E-money is a system that we probably started using 8 or 9 months ago, I'm going to guess. And we tested it for a while. It's an extremely complicated system. And I've contacted a lot of you individually, and you guys have helped me test it. And we're at a point where we can really roll it out to everybody who wants to use it. But what it is an aggregator, an account aggregator that allows you to connect all of your accounts into one portal, so that when you open this one portal, you can see what your net worth is at any point in time. You can see your bank accounts, you can see your annuities, you can see your TD Ameritrade accounts, you can see all the other accounts that maybe we're not managing. For those of you that we're not managing all of your accounts, you can see all of that, and you can run a balance sheet, you can run a net worth statement, and it's all real time because you took the time to set it up. Go put in your username and password. Once you do that, it has a live feed that comes in. So now whenever you run a balance sheet, it is real time. And it then allows you to do some scenario planning. It allows you to really get sophisticated if you want. It allows you to do things like, well, what if I want to buy a car? What does that do? I had a client in my office earlier today that wants to spend $140,000 on an S-Class Mercedes. Well, if he has everything in e-money, he can put that there and see how's that gonna affect him 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. And same thing for you. If you're thinking about buying another piece of real estate, or if you're thinking about taking an extra 10 or 20 or $30,000 a year out of your portfolio, what does that do? So you can go in and you can play with it, and you can do some scenario planning. And the clients who have tried it love it. Takes a little bit of while to set up. You got to go and put your username and passwords. And this company has been around, I want to say 15 years, and I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But I've done the research on this company. It's extremely secure. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies that use this. So it's not a fly-by-night company. It's a company that I've looked at all the protocols and everything else, extremely, extremely safe. So it helps you, for those of you that want to do it, that's an option for you. But it also is going to help us. Because when you call us or email us and say, hey, I want to meet with Anthony, I want to have a conversation, or I just have a quick question about something. Well, a lot of times I can't answer a question that you have without having current information in front of me. So if you've taken the time and go in to log everything in the e-money, then what it allows me to do when you call me on the phone is I can log in and I can see everything. So now when you ask me a question, I've got all the information current, it's right there. And now I can answer your question. I don't have to have my staff update things. We don't have to do any of that. So it really helps me help you in a manner that's very efficient, especially with client reviews. You know, when you call us and you want to have a time to meet with me to talk about your portfolios, your annuities, or, you know, you're selling a house or you're going to retire or whatever scenario that you want us to talk about, I have to have current information. And when you come in and you meet with us, you know that that's flawless. I have my notes, I'm current on things, I know what you have, but guess what? That doesn't happen accidentally. It takes our team members sometimes an hour, sometimes multiple hours to be able to put that together so that I've got information. So when I see you, I'm prepared. Well, guess what? E-money is going to cut down on all that time too. So not only does it help you, but it really helps us as well. So I'd ask you to check it out. It's not mandatory. I'm not going to make you guys do anything you don't want to do. But if e-money is something that you want to consider, email me just as soon as we're done. Email me, let me know. I'll forward on your email to the team member. We will send you a link, and you can go ahead and look at it, play with it, and use it if you want. And if not, then that's okay as well too. It doesn't change anything about our relationship if you decide it's not something you want to do. Asset book. Asset book is similar, but not as thorough. For those of you that have accounts with TD Ameritrade, you can log on to your accounts at TD Ameritrade and you can see everything online, but you can only see the investment holdings that you have. It doesn't let you break down into investment classes. It doesn't let you look at, well, how many preferred stocks, you know, what percentage of preferred stocks, what percentage of bonds, what percentage of ETFs, what percentage of stocks. TD Ameritrade doesn't do any of that. It's just a list of holdings. And if you have multiple accounts, a lot of you have multiple accounts with us, you got to look at each account individually. So there's no way to aggregate it to look at what the total is. Well, asset book is something that we started using 5 or 6 months ago, I'm guessing. It replaces Orion. Some of you were familiar with Orion. So asset book replaces Orion. And what it allows you to do, if you have a username and password with asset book, what it allows you to do is it allows you to log into one place and see all your TD Ameritrade accounts. And now you can drill down. You can look at each account individually if you want to, but you can look at the different asset classes. And I believe you can even run reports to see how's your performance been, what's your income. So it gives you a lot of ability to be able to diagnose and take a look at your situation in more detail that TD Ameritrade doesn't give you. So e-money is an aggregator for everything. Outside accounts that we're not managing for you, accounts that we are managing for you. E-money allows you to put in your income, it allows you to put in your expenses, your debt accounts, your mortgage, everything in one place. So you know what your balance sheet is, you know what your net worth is at any point in time. Asset book is only for your TD Ameritrade accounts. It's extremely simple. And that is where I would recommend you log into Asset Book. And the only difference between that and TD Ameritrade is Asset Book runs 24 hours behind. That's it. They get a feed every day. So generally it's 24 hours behind. So if you want access to Asset Book, again, email me. And if you want access to both, just email me and let me know you want access to e-money, to Asset Book, and I'll forward those emails to where they need to go. And you will give you access to those as well too, okay? One of the things that I recorded, one of the things I did before this appreciation event is I recorded a YouTube video. A lot of times in these client appreciation events, I don't necessarily give you updates about our company like I did now, and talk about our portfolio changes. I usually like to talk a little bit about income. And for those of you that have been to our client appreciation events, you know that I like to take a few minutes and talk about income and where the markets are and what do we think is going to happen next year. And I did want to take time and do that now. I felt like giving you these updates were important. I felt like having Ron was important. So hopefully you agree with that. But I didn't want to leave you out. So what I did is I recorded a YouTube video that just became available at 6 o'clock tonight, if I did my job right, because that's when I scheduled it for. And this YouTube video talks about income for growth. There are 3 reasons why investing for income makes sense. And most of you, I'm going to say all of you, know one of the reasons. Some of you know the reason number 2. But I'm going to guess that virtually none of you know reason number 3. So if you hover your phone, your phone over that QR code by pressing the camera and hover it over there, it will take you right to that YouTube video and you can watch Income for Growth. I would encourage you to do that. And that really is replacing my conversation with what I would normally like to do live, where I get a chance to talk about that to you live. So watch that YouTube video. Well, as we start to wrap up this portion of our conversation tonight, here's different ways you can stay in touch with us. Obviously, our website, that QR code there will take you right to our website. It's mobile friendly. You can look at it on your cell phone, on your smartphone, just like you can. We change it frequently. If you want to see some of the media interviews I've done, you can go there. That's kind of your hub. Because from our website, you can go to every place else. You can go to my radio site. We have a radio show site just for that. You can go to our podcast site. We have a podcast site just for that. You can watch our YouTube videos. And I got to tell you, our YouTube videos have to be mandatory for you. If there's something that I want to convey to you, my clients, something I want you to know, I can't pick up the phone and call 800 people to say, hey, what do you think? This is something. So I will put out a YouTube video. And for those of you that follow us on YouTube, you will get notified instantly. The YouTube will notify you that there's a new video from someone you follow, and then you can go watch that video. If you don't follow us, then you're going to get notified of that, but we're going to send it to you in a newsletter. And that might come the next day. It might come a few days later. It might come a week later, just depending on how we send it. There's different email systems that we use, and some of them are faster than others. So it just depends. But if I'm going to relay a message, and I want to relay a message to all my clients, that's how I'm going to do it. And most of you are great about watching the YouTubes. Frequently, when I do reviews, you've told me what I've said and you're already prepared. But a lot of times I'll meet with a client that will say, well, we didn't know about this, we didn't know about this, we didn't know about this. Well, that's because you didn't watch my YouTube. So what you want to do is, as soon as this is over, is you can go to our website, Providence Financial Inc., and in the upper right corner, along with all of our other social media sites, is a YouTube icon. Click on the YouTube. It takes you right to our page. All you got to do is click, I believe it's follow. It's either follow or subscribe. Click that, and then you will get notified at the moment that I put out a video. And I try to not put out videos of things you already know, things you've heard. Try to put out videos of how does this affect you? How does it affect our clients' portfolios? Are there changes that we're recommending? Are there changes that we're making? So YouTube has to be mandatory, because I can't pick up the phone and call every one of you as much as I would love to do that. Our newsletter list. That's how we're going to also communicate with you as well. So again, we'll send out our YouTube videos and newsletter. So you'll get them eventually, but it might be as much as a week later. Now, a lot of you have told us you're not getting our newsletter. We'll get an email from you every now and then. Well, it's a lot of times it's because it goes to junk. So our newsletters come from my email address. So what you want to do is, if you have a Gmail or AOL or Yahoo account, what you want to do is you want to go and whitelist, and somehow on your account, you have the ability to choose authorized emails. And I would almost recommend that, we sent you an email reminding you of this webinar an hour before this client appreciation event. I recommend go find that email, copy my email address, the email that it came from, and just whitelist it. Put it in a category. Make sure that your email provider knows that we are a safe sender, because you want to get these newsletters. And I want to make sure you get them, but we can't control who's going to be spammed or where it's going to send your newsletter. So make sure that you're getting our newsletters. Podcast, we also talked about that. Facebook, social media includes Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Yelp. We do all of these. We use all of these, and every things on Facebook are going to be different than on the podcast. Going to be different than on the radio. So as the more you can follow us, the more you can interact with us, then the more information you're going to have, and you might just find a little tidbit of something that you want to have a conversation about. And I'm more than happy to help you any way you can. And while I think about Yelp, we have 35, I think, 5-star reviews on Yelp. And I would love for those of you that could rate us 5 stars. Hopefully that's every single one of you. I'd love for you to go in there, take a minute. It helps us. We're starting to do more with social media. That's the way of the future. Go in there, rate us 5 stars, and put some nice comments about us for how we were able to help you. And that helps other people. I'm going to guess that a high percentage of you did some kind of Google search or did some kind of Yelp reviews or something before you hired us. So the reality is if that's something you did, then it would help us for you to help others as well too. Now, if for some reason, and I don't think this is the case, but if for some reason you go on there and you can't rate us 5 stars, I want to know personally. So I want to know why you don't feel like you can rate us 5 stars. So don't put a review, call me personally, and let me know why that would be. But hopefully that's not the case. I don't think that is. So thank you again. That's going to do it for our conversation tonight. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you for being valued clients. Really, really love you guys. And we wouldn't be here without you. Now, as soon as you log off, there's going to be a survey. Do me a favor, please, please, please go ahead and complete that survey. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, and hopefully, COVID permitting, we will be live next year somewhere with an awesome event, our 10th client anniversary event or client appreciation event live somewhere. And we will do this live, and I can't wait to see you all there. But for now, thank you for joining us for tonight. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for your trust, and thank you for your business. God bless.